In this video, we're going to break down the subtle signs women send when they're losing attraction. I'm not talking about the obvious ones like ghosting, cheating, and stuff like that. I'm talking about the quiet behavioral shifts that happen before the collapse. If you can learn to spot these early, you don't just save the situation, you'll regain control of it. Jessica OS here. Welcome to the channel. If you're ready, let's jump right in. Signal number 1. Her investment starts shrinking. When attraction starts to dip, her responses become shorter. Not rude, just minimal. She still replies, but the depth is gone. Where she used to say, "That sounds amazing, tell me more." Now it's just "nice" or "that's cool." Conversations that used to expand now die quickly unless you revive them. You start noticing that if you don't text, the conversation simply doesn't exist anymore. And this is where things quietly shift. Without realizing it, you've been compensating. You start texting more frequently, asking more questions, putting more energy into keeping that interaction alive. You justify it in your head by saying, well, maybe she's truly busy, or maybe I need to lead a little more as a man. Let's be honest. There's a difference between leading and carrying. Leading is when you set the tone and she meets you right there. Carrying is when you're dragging the entire interaction forward while she passively responds to everything. What's dangerous is the more you compensate, the more you train her to invest less, because now she doesn't have to earn your attention. You're giving it away freely, consistently, and with increasing intensity. That dynamic will shift from mutual interest to one-sided pursuit, and attraction rarely survives that shift. Pause and think about your own behavior. When you're highly interested in someone, do you sit back and give the bare minimum, or do you lean in and invest more? Exactly. Attraction naturally drives effort. It doesn't suppress it. Okay, let's go deeper, because this is where most men lose control of the situation. You see, when her investment drops, it creates anxiety naturally, and that anxiety pushes you into overcorrection. So you start trying to fix the energy instead of observing it. What that does is tell her, I need you more than you need me. And then attraction will start to collapse, because attraction thrives on balance. You see, it needs space, curiosity, and a sense that both people are choosing each other every day. A reduced investment is not a problem. It's a signal. The real problem is how you invest or respond to it. Most men treat reduced effort like something they can fix. High-value men treat it like information. They notice it, adjust, and most importantly, don't reward low investment with higher investment. They match energy. They create space. They allow her to either re-engage or reveal where she truly stands. If a woman is still attracted to you, she'll feel that gap and lean back in. Reinvest. But if she doesn't, it tells you everything you need to know. Signal 2. She stops responding emotionally. At the beginning, emotional responsiveness is automatic. You say something playful, she builds on it. You tease her, she fires back. You share something personal. She leans in, she's curious. She asks questions, expands the conversation. There's a back and forth rhythm that just feels alive. It feels like momentum. Now compare that to what happens basically when attraction starts to fade. It's the exact opposite. You make a joke that would have gotten a laugh before, and now it gets a flat LOL, or isn't even deemed funny. You say something slightly bold or flirtatious. She ignores it and pivots to something neutral. You share something meaningful, and instead of curiosity, you get a short acknowledgement with no follow-up. The conversation doesn't break, it just stops breathing, okay? And here's a trap. A lot of guys interpret this as a communication issue, but that's not what's happening here. This is all about her emotional availability towards you. Let's be honest for a second. When someone you're genuinely attracted to speaks, you don't give them lifeless responses. Even if you're busy, even if you're tired, there's still a spark. You react, you engage, you want to continue that interaction. Emotional responsiveness is not effort, it's interest showing up in real time. So basically, when that responsiveness disappears, it's because she's no longer feeling the same level of emotional pull towards you. Yeah, she'll be polite. She may respond consistently. She may even agree to see you every so often. And that's why this particular thing that's happening confuses a lot of guys, because they think if she's still here, things must be okay. No, presence doesn't equal attraction. A woman can stay in contact out of habit, comfort, curiosity, or even guilt. But attraction is reflected in how she responds, not whether she responds. You can't force emotional investment out of someone who's already disengaging. In fact, the more you try, the more it highlights the gap between your energy and hers. And that gap is what accelerates the loss of attraction. For some guys, when her emotional responsiveness drops, your instinct will be to increase yours. That's the mistake. Instead, you need to stabilize your energy. Don't chase reactions. Don't overperform. Don't try to win her back through any kind of convincing or conversation. Observe. Match the tone. If the energy is low, don't artificially raise it. Allow the interaction to reflect reality instead of trying to manipulate it. And then create space. Because space will do something for you. It removes the pressure and gives her the opportunity to either lean back into the relationship or continue drifting away. So the real skill here is not learning how to make her respond emotionally again. It's learning how to recognize when she's no longer emotionally invested and having the discipline not to perform for someone who's already checked out. That's where your power is. Signal 3. She becomes busy in a very specific way. You need to pay attention not to the fact that she's busy, but to how that busyness is showing up specifically with you. Because in the beginning, she made time. Even if her schedule was full, she carved out space to see you, to talk to you, to connect with you. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like you were negotiating for attention. You were part of her life, not competing with it. Now, a lot has changed. Yeah, she's still active, still on social media, still posting, still going out. She's engaging with the world around her and with other people. But when it comes to you, everything suddenly requires rescheduling, postponing, or figuring things out later. Plans become vague. Let's see. I'll let you know. Oh, this week is crazy. But somehow that crazy week keeps extending. Pause for a second and think clearly. Is she actually busy, or is she selectively unavailable? Because those are two different things. People don't become unavailable across the board. They become unavailable in specific directions, and that direction is usually tied to declining interest. When a woman is attracted to you, she protects access to you. She doesn't want to risk losing momentum. She doesn't want the connection to fade. So what she does is make sure that there's consistency, even if life is busy. When you accept inconsistent availability without adjusting your behavior, you're telling her your time is not valuable. You're essentially saying, I'll be here whenever you decide I matter. So the question becomes, how do you respond without overreacting or chasing? I say, first, stop over-accommodating. Okay? Don't rearrange your life to fit someone who isn't making space for you. Second, start paying attention to reciprocity. If she cancels, can't make it to something, does she actively reschedule, or does the conversation just drift? Third, you create structure. So instead of vague plans, make clear invitations like, let's meet Thursday at 7 o'clock. If she can't, the expectation is that she offers a real alternative. If she doesn't, don't chase a new plan. And most importantly, become willing to step back. Not as a tactic, but as a standard. You see, if a woman is still attracted to you, your absence will create a reaction, and she'll find a way to reconnect. But if she doesn't, then you weren't really dealing with a timing issue. You were dealing with a priority issue. Guys, if you're listening to this and realizing you've experienced even one of the things I've talked about, I want you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because most men don't even know these signals exist, and that's why they lose leverage without realizing it. Trust me. Signal 4. She stops challenging you. Now, this particular signal is subtle enough to fool even confident men, because on the surface, right, it feels like things are getting easier. There's less friction, fewer disagreements, conversations feel smoother, lighter, less complicated. You know, a lot of men interpret that as progress, but you need to understand what you're actually looking at. It might feel like peace, but it's disengagement. See, when a woman is truly interested in you, she cares about the interactions you have. She wants to participate in them, wants to shape them. Even disagreements become a form of connection because they show that she's actively invested enough to challenge you. So when that disappears, she no longer feels the need to engage at that kind of level. And this is where a lot of guys get blindsided, because they're like, oh, well, she's not complaining anymore, so things must be better. Meanwhile, what's happening is she's already mentally stepping back, slowly detaching and conserving her energy. Engagement becomes friction. Indifference removes it. Think about the last time you were deeply interested in someone. Did you just passively agree with everything they said? Or did you engage? Question, tease, push the interaction forward. Now, how do you respond without overreacting or forcing something unnatural? That may be your question. I think first, don't chase conflict. Don't try to provoke arguments just to create tension. That's weak and obvious. Instead, return to being grounded in your own perspective. Say what you think without filtering it for approval. Bring back a sense of individuality and edge into the interaction. Second, pay attention to whether she re-engages. If you bring energy, playfulness, and a bit of challenge back into the dynamic, does she respond? Does she meet you there? Does the spark return even slightly? Or are things remaining neutral? That distinction will matter, because if she re-engages, it means the attraction isn't gone. It's just dull. You know, that's normal. But if she stays indifferent, then you're not dealing with a temporary lull. You're dealing with a deeper loss of interest. You need to see it for what it is. Signal 5. Physical and emotional distance starts increasing. I'll wrap up with this last one. At the beginning, proximity is effortless. You know, she leans into you, touches you without thinking. There's natural comfort in being close physically and emotionally. Now, she still sits next to you, all right? But there's a little gap, small but noticeable. You know, she still hugs you, but it's shorter, less emotional, less tight, less intentional. Physical contact becomes reactive instead of proactive. It happens when you initiate, not because she's drawn to you, you know. And emotionally, the same pattern is showing up. Conversations stay surface level. You talk about logistics, daily routines, random topics. But the depth of it is gone. She's no longer opening up the way she used to. She's not bringing you into her inner world. Here's where most men misread the situation. You're thinking, oh, maybe she's just tired. Maybe she's going through something. So what do? You try to close the gap. But I need you to pause and think clearly. If someone is naturally pulling away, what does forcing closeness feel like to them? It feels like pressure, and pressure doesn't rebuild attraction. It accelerates withdrawal. You see, when someone is into you, they want to be close, and it has nothing to do with whether they want to or not. It's just because it feels good. It feels natural. It feels exciting. When that desire is fading, proximity starts to feel less necessary, less compelling, and eventually less comfortable. And that's why distance shows up first in small ways. Less eye contact, less playful touching, and so on. None of these things scream, I'm losing interest, but together they tell a very compelling story. Let's talk about how to respond without making things worse. Number 1, stop forcing proximity. Don't chase physical affection. Don't overcompensate with attention. Allow the current level of distance to exist. Hear me, let it exist without trying to immediately fix it. Second, observe her behavior without filtering it through hope. Is she ever initiating closeness? Is there any effort on her side to reconnect? Or is all the movement coming from you? Third, you stabilize your own energy. You don't become colder out of frustration, but you also don't become more needy out of fear. Just stay grounded. That's what you need to do. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. My name is Jessica OS. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.